Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
When choosing a dentist for our family, Tupelo Smiles was the answer for us. They greet us with warm smiles right when we walk in the door, and they make us feel so welcome. We love Tupelo Smiles.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Loppon here from the Room to Room Weather Center on what has been a pretty, mild day comparison to where we have been, not in comparison to where we're going. A lot of mild days ahead looking over the course of the next week. But one big drop between now and that Christmas holiday. We'll time that out for you coming up as well here in just a couple of minutes. Thank you so much for joining us here. Again, some rainfall is on the way for the middle part of the week. And I think tomorrow we'll have limited shower chances, better ones by Thursday, and maybe even a couple stronger thunderstorms mixing in with that. We'll discuss that in more detail here in a couple minutes as well. Storm chances do increase though, but I think they're probably more limited in our area than other spots close by. We're pinpointing that in more detail as we have one more deep drop before Christmas. And then I think much milder temperatures by that holiday. We're looking toward that and just how warm and how that compares on our extreme weather index coming up here in a couple minutes, because we're way above normal as we get closer to that holiday. So that tells you that we have an improvement from the cool temperatures that we've had. A little warmer today, still 44 at 7 p.m., much milder than last night at this time. 41 by 10, 39 by 1 o'clock in the morning, 37 by 4 a.m. And again, limited rain chances, but they do pick up a little bit more by your morning commute on your early Wednesday morning. We'll talk a little bit more with our meteorologist, Gabe Maynor, about that coming up here in a few minutes. 39 in Amory at this time. You can't tell it on this camera here, but we do have plenty of clouds. They're high and thin clouds. Only kind of indication is a little bit lighter there on the horizon, with the last little bit of glow from the high-res look at that camera there showing up at this time. Winona also, again, those thick clouds, 45 degrees current temperature there at this moment. Luckily, those winds are fairly calm in Winona, but that measure of moisture, that dew point, only 27, so drier air remains the overall headline at this time. Mississippi Live Weather Radar shows all those very, very thick clouds that we have over top of us at this point in time under, again, these cloudy skies, not a lot of precipitation falling at this moment. We do have, as you can see, back to the west of us, a bit of moisture showing up back into Texas and out there on the plains. This largely associated with this brown line here. Don't always, plot these. Certainly didn't really at the TV station very often, but they're good to kind of indicate what's going on. And that is a trough of low pressure. And essentially we have this kind of wave that's shifting through over top of us. It kind of acts like a big low pressure center, the big red L out there. As you kind of see, the overall shape of it is you have the counterclockwise flow around that. Well, anyway, this system is going to bring us maybe some sprinkles, certainly the clouds that we do have, but not a lot of meaningful rainfall associated with that. It's going to take kind of the next systems behind that before we start to see more active weather. And the one we have back out there toward the Pacific Northwest will bring some storm chances later on this week once it gets a little bit closer. But I think even those are probably a little more focused up to the north of us, especially up into Tennessee, where there is a limited severe weather threat. Now, there is no threat in that regard for tonight and tomorrow, but it would be probably Thursday before, again, that slightest of slight chances gets a little bit closer. More on that in a moment. But again, Little Rock, Arkansas, some sprinkles out there for this evening in the overnight hours. This is, again, that wave. You can see that brown line, that trough, not necessarily a true low pressure center because there's no big change in the wind associated with that, no big drop in temperature, so no change of air mass. And so we just kind of have the clouds as we're bringing in more moisture from the Gulf. You can see kind of this string of moisture extending there from Lake Charles, Louisiana, all the way through Yazoo City and up here in the northern part of Mississippi and into Tennessee. That starts the process of priming things so that we have more moisture available, so that we have a better chance for some showers and thunderstorms by later this week as a front, a legitimate front moves in, and they will have much cooler temperatures behind it as well. We're looking at that drop in a couple moments coming up as well. Next 24, though, we're 36 for that AM temperature on your Wednesday, 43 by 9 a.m. I keep the rain coverage around 20% or so on there. I'm going to bring in our meteorologist, Gabe Maynor, here for just a second in the Room to Room Weather Center back there in the studio. And Gabe, one of the things I'm looking at on this here, we start talking about some of those rain chances there. Not terribly impressive, right? 20% or so. We're owing that to the drier air, right?
Exactly. And I think that if it was a more saturated forecast, you could up that to 30% coverage. But like you were talking about at the 5 o'clock broadcast, a lot of that just not reaching the surface. Going to be more of a light rainfall than even a moderate or heavy rainfall. So I love talking about the windshield wiper settings and how that can dictate our forecast. I would say level 1 on the dial. And I think that's the highest part that we'll get with this.
Yeah, I mean, the extra delay, right?
Exactly. You can have some room to kind of accumulate those drops before it becomes a bigger issue. But yeah, not too bad at all.
A bit more tomorrow, thankfully. We're mid-50s on the way for tomorrow afternoon, so that's an improvement there. And those southeast winds, again, we'll talk about this more detail coming up here in a few minutes. Those start bringing in more rainfall chances. We're looking at that forecast, looking toward your Thursday and bringing that down to more details. Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
The number one reason insurance denies roof claims is not what you think. Insurance companies aren't denying your claim because you don't have damage. They're denying it because they don't have documentation. This is why we use drones, AI technology, satellite imagery, and just good old roofing experience to document everything that might be wrong with your roof. You as a homeowner need a roofer with documentation standards. Call Absolute Restoration. Let us come and inspect, document, and present.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lovehon.
So current time is what, 6:08? You're watching Mississippi Live Weather on this beautiful evening on your Tuesday. Hey, at least it's a lot more mild, certainly making a big difference on how things feel out there. And hopefully you're looking forward to milder conditions toward the Christmas holiday, because that's what's on the way one way or another. If you're hoping for a white Christmas, this is not a forecast that's going to have information you're going to want to hear in that regard. But again, West Point out there this evening, we are dry, we are clear. Again, appreciate the North Mississippi Storm Chaser for us to use a lot of these cameras. This one, though, coming from the Mississippi State University. We are 46 degrees at this time in Starkville, coming in about 27 for that dew point. So the air is pretty dry out there at this point, and we expect that drier air under the cloudy sky is going to eat into some of the rainfall chances that we have on the way for eventually tomorrow. And our camera here in Tupelo looking out this evening with, again, those clouds, but a lot of folks out still doing the shopping as we get closer to the Christmas holiday. And again, appreciate Mitchell, Cunningham Bowling for sponsoring our Tupelo Tower Cam at this point in time. Day planner for your Wednesday. We'll start off at 36. We're 51 by noon. Again, rain coverage 20, maybe 30%, mainly light, largely gobbled up by that drier air closer to the surface. The 56 is pretty much right on what we expect for this time of the year, which tells you the 60s. We got plenty of those in the extended forecast. Not just above normal, but way above normal. And we'll look at that in more detail here in a moment. Certainly, as you can see toward next week, look at these climbing temperatures. I mean, one of these does not look like the rest. And this is good data. Only 40s, maybe low 50s for highs on your Friday. The one and only front that's going to sweep through, bring us better rain chances, even some storm chances, does have some cooler temperatures behind it. It's just not long-lived. That's why we're back in the 60s by Saturday, mid-60s by Sunday. We do have some rain chances, even in the extended forecast here, as we're kind of priming the atmosphere with slightly better chances. But at this point, looking ahead toward your Christmas holiday, we expect it to be one that hopefully is in great shape for most travel across the regions. Christmas Eve, we're 67 for the high, and yeah, that's right. We're going 70 degrees for the projected high temperature for Christmas Day. Again, we're still a little ways out. We will adjust as we get closer, but this is not going to flip-flop and have actual snow by the time it gets here. It's either, are we talking 60s or 70s? God forbid warmer. It'd be really pushing it. But certainly, we are going to definitely be way above normal for this upcoming Christmas holiday, which is what we more often than not expect, as opposed to really cold weather for Christmas or snowfall for that matter. We're always much, much more likely to see tornadoes on Christmas than we are to see snowfall, unfortunately, for folks that would like to see that snowfall. Wide shot here. Again, we kind of addressed this a minute ago, talking about it again. This trough of low pressure, kind of the first wave of moisture, some of those showers associated with that back out into Arkansas. And if we come in a little closer on those, you'll note that, I mean, even there where there's more moisture, only maybe one spot where we have moderate rainfall. This is pretty light stuff as it moves into our area overnight and in the first part of tomorrow. That's why 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe some sprinkles out here in the Mississippi Delta, Clarksdale back toward Holly Springs or Ashland there. We're looking at 6 a.m. So as you start the day, don't at all be shocked if you have some raindrops on the windshield. But mostly, we expect, again, this to be pretty light stuff. 36, that's our normal low temperature for this time of year, and shows you how far below we've been recently, because we're going to eventually get our way back up there, as you can see, into the upper 30s for lows. As you can see, Grenada, 41 degrees for Greenwood and Cleveland, but 37 in Houston, Tupelo, and Amory. I mean, that's pretty much right on for what we'd expect for this time of year. Putting tomorrow both low temperatures and high temperatures almost exactly in that category. Now, as far as wind chills go, after starting off cool, more manageable as we head through the day and into the afternoon to early evening. And that's one of the things going forward is you can point out the big difference here, and that's going to be early Friday morning and early Saturday morning. You can tell that Saturday is going to be a day with quite a few breezes. If you're going to start off with a wind chill in the morning and then pump those temperatures all the way in the 60s in the afternoon. So kind of big transition there, as most of the extended forecast keeping us pretty mild for this time of the year. I mean, come on, we're coming up on the equinox, coming up on the beginning of winter, less than a week away. So showers remain relatively light early Wednesday. We're looking at our HRRR model here, depicting, again, maybe an occasional rumble up into Tennessee. It's probably overstating it, but not an impossibility to get something up there, versus, again, what are largely just, again, lighter variety showers as they work their way back toward the east. We're at noontime, we're 1, we're 2 o'clock, again, mostly clear skies into tomorrow afternoon. At the lower levels, I think this is probably more mid-level sort of cloud cover and higher level cloud cover as well, as we're still somewhat dry closer to the surface. But in general, yeah, no real precipitation showing up out there. So 60, the high temperature Greenwood, 62 for Kosciuszko, we're 60 in Eupora, 58 degrees in Houston, 56 in Tupelo. Yeah, we should be about 55. We'll be right there for New Albany, for Holly Springs and South Haven to begin the first part of tomorrow afternoon. So again, mostly cloudy skies for Wednesday in the evening and Wednesday night. There are some of the showers starting to kind of take shape back out into Arkansas. That next storm system we are alluding to back out here toward the Midwest and can, again, dragging down some colder air with it. Then this is kind of the next batch of colder air that will slide in as we head into your, in particular, we head into your Friday is when we'll kind of see the biggest impacts with this there. But I think it's going to be the initiation point for some isolated showers and storms as we go into Thursday. Now notice we have some down south, maybe even some rumbles. Let's bring it a little closer there here for just a moment. Maybe 1 or 2 of these could be some rumbles down there south of Louisville. This is kind of on the northern edge of some of the returning moisture. We don't have a ton of upper level lift with this over top of us. But I think down there to the south, closer to the coast, if you have some plans, maybe taking it down to South Mississippi, not impossible to get 1 or 2 of those to be somewhat heavier down that direction. Low temperatures, notice the difference here. This would have been high temperature territory yesterday. We're beginning temperatures on Thursday at around 52 Belzona, Greenville, Cleveland at 51, 47 Oxford, 46 in Houston, Tupelo, and Amory. Normal's 36, so 10 above that. 10 above where we'll be tomorrow morning for Thursday morning. And that's that moisture coming in. But if these numbers were, say, upper 50s, lower 60s, we'd be much more primed for storms. I think that's one of the things that helps us out on severe weather threats. I just don't think we have enough moisture, lower level instability showing up. Now, again, a couple rumbles there, not an impossibility. And we are dealing with the slightest or more limited severe weather risk up to the north. But as we look here toward noontime on your Thursday, showing some showers there, Olive Branch back toward Sardis, maybe a couple rumbles intermixed with that there. You can see we change over from our HRRR model to our strike model, which is unimpressed compared to where that other projection was. That pointed out to say that even tonight at 10 o'clock, Gabe looking at the 0Z models, as we call it, or the late evening models on the HRRR model. He'll be able to project that out through the afternoon on Thursday. It's not impossible. That comes in with heavier than what Strike here is indicating. So I would say there still remains a limited severe weather threat on Thursday for our area, though probably a little greater. And you can kind of see that here looking at the model, probably a little greater down here, South Alabama to the Florida Panhandle, or up into Tennessee than it will be for us. The Storm Prediction Center, Norman, Oklahoma, placing the zones up here into Tennessee is the most likely spots to possibly see some severe weather threat. The combination of better strong winds aloft and maybe just enough moisture kind of helping those folks out. But I think I wouldn't all be shocked to see them add a threat down closer to the coast. And hopefully we're in that kind of safe place in the middle where we don't have as significant of an impact in either situation. High temperatures, now we're way above normal again for your Thursday, 55 where we should be. Record is 74. Not going to be at record-setting levels by any stretch, but 67 Belzona, 66 degrees Greenwood, 65 for Grenada, 65 also for Eupora for highs. And rainfall totals, you can see the overnight stuff tonight, couple hundredths of an inch into tomorrow. And then even when you add in the Thursday chances, at least on our strike model here, we're looking at, again, maybe a couple tenths of an inch of rainfall, heavier if we get some thunderstorms. But again, that model doesn't show much in the way of thunderstorms, so we shouldn't at all be shocked if we have more limited amounts there on that version of Futurecast. So strike model here, again, showing those showers kind of exiting to the east by Thursday evening, moving away. And then behind this, we have a lot of cold air, high pressure kind of settling in with that cold air, and that gets those temperatures dropping for us. It's drier air as well, colder, drier, obviously. The combination just kind of doubles up and doubles down on the colder front there, but still a little bit of a breeze. So it does mean a bit of a wind chill to begin early Friday morning as well. Last day of school for a lot of kids before they're out for 2025 and won't go back until 2026. And it's going to become another cold start. Not as cold as earlier this week, not as cold as Monday morning, or even necessarily Tuesday morning, this morning. But we'll be low 30s again to maybe mid 30s out there. Macon, about 33 Houston, Bruce, 30 degrees in Corinth, and 30 in Boonville. Wind chill temperatures, more like the upper 20s to maybe low 30s for early Friday morning. So, not extreme, but obviously cool. 7-day forecast. We're at 40% on that coverage of rainfall. And yes, there will be some rumbles mix again. So way above our 30-year average at 55 for your Thursday. We're 48 for Friday. That is the cold day. Because as you can see, looking towards Saturday and Sunday there, we expect, again, we'll be warming up a lot more and some additional rain and maybe storm chances by Sunday. I'm not impressed by most of our rain chances looking into the extended forecast, but you can see that those low temperatures continue to kind of creep up there a little higher, priming us with a little more moisture. Eventually, that could lead to some storm chances as we go into next week, one of the things that we're tracking in more detail. Before we go on this broadcast, and I'll let Gabe know behind the scenes so we can get some of those merry and bright pictures in here for just a second. I want to remind you that as we're thinking about Christmas gifts, one thing to consider is weather call. It's a safety gift. It might not be the sexiest gift that you can give somebody, but the cool thing about it is it protects them for the entire year from severe weather, because there's two things you can do that protect yourself as we go into, again, winter and spring severe weather season. Luckily, we haven't had much of a fall one, knock on wood. But the main things you can do to protect yourself: know when you need to take severe weather sheltering plans and put those into place. That's where weather call comes in, and know where to go and have a place to go. So one half of the equation solved by weather call. For $15, you can take care of grandma, you can take care of the kids, you can grandkids, and make sure that they know at least that bad weather's coming for them. It'll be my voice delivering that phone call message, letting them know that they're in danger, if that's something that ends up happening, and they are in danger. It'll only call them if, of course, that weather is bad. If tornadoes are confirmed, it'll call them back. And again, if there's a devastating flash flooding, another way as well. But something I have for my family, something we recommend. And this time of year, when we're thinking of different stocking stuffers, could be one really good one for that. Okay, your merry and bright pictures from our weather watchers across North Mississippi coming up here in 60 seconds as Mississippi Live weather continues here. We're also looking ahead and looking at the extended forecast toward Christmas and some of the other components that come into play with that. How extreme does it get? As Mississippi Live weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. We knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. we're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hey, I'm just so thankful to all the folks out there who have sent in your merry and bright weather pictures over the course of this month. Great shot here of a nativity scene sent in by Millicent. Again, got all the characters there, the different livestock. One of the things, that, again, maybe this is the Bible nerd thing that, we do in our family is my daughter always, we have the nativity scene at the house and she slowly moves different pieces a little bit closer, day after day. And she says, not there yet. They're not there yet, and so our three wise men have yet to make it to the nativity scene yet. But anyway, appreciate that one there. Nice to see a beautiful and lit up, and appreciate Millicent for sending in that picture to us using the Mississippi Live weather app, as well as Facebook, where some of these have been submitted. And then as we check out the next one here, this one coming in from Rhonda over there, showing some of the great decorations out of St. Jude. Again, so thankful for all those folks that work up there at St. Jude to literally try to cure childhood cancer, and all you for supporting the St. Jude Dream Home and all those different ways in which they do fundraisers, including, our folks, doing the St. Jude run earlier on this year. Maggie was, I can't, wrap my brain around it, but she was doing the half marathon. Gabe, I'm gonna join you over there at the Chroma Key if you'd join me at this moment over there. But I mean, you are, what we're in. We're in cut season. What season we in?
Bulk season. You got to bulk up for winter. So this is not the running time of year, but I will say that my cut season went a little bit low, or light, should I say. So I'm still extending cut season. So it's okay for all the runners out there to keep running into the winter season. So.
Yeah. Okay. So it's bulk season on these days. The bulk helps, for warmth, but Mother Nature doing a pretty good job of that, right?
And Mother Nature bulking up herself as you take a look there with those warmer temperatures over the top of not just Mississippi, not just the Southeast, but the entire United States. And look at the time frame. You talked about it. Christmas, unfortunately, going to be paired with those warmer temperatures. I did see some folks in the chat that were saying, where do I get the white Christmas? Or I want the white Christmas. And unfortunately, we say go north, but I mean, how far north are we talking with this type of pattern?
If you're wanting it to snow, now here's the thing. Above normal is obviously a relative thing, right? So you get up there to the Great Lakes and they can be, their normal temperature might be in the 20s. Above normal might be upper 20s, lower 30s, So this is likelihood of being above normal. So I would say, if you're going to the Smokies and hoping for it to snow there, that's probably kind of going to be kind of rough. But you get up there in the Rockies, yeah, I mean, they're way above normal, but there's already snow on those peaks. So, it's depending on how far north you go.
And the Northeast, of course.
And the Northeast, right?
Yeah, looking a little bit, though, our one below average location. So there you go. See you all in Maine.
Yeah. But so, as you can see here, not a lot of precipitation with that as well. But that's, I think, again, that's kind of the point on part of this. If you look out there toward Colorado, they're looking at more precipitation. So they might be, closer to the freezing point, but still cold enough to produce a decent amount of powder for those folks, doing some skiing up there. Are you a skier?
Unfortunately, no. But I don't think I could.
Thank God. I can't imagine you not killing yourself skiing.
That's what I was going to say. See, I got on a skateboard one time. I went approximately 1 foot before the whole thing went forward, and I stayed right where I was. And you can imagine the end result. I put down the skateboard, we were tired, and I think skiing would follow that same path if I were to start it. So I like looking at snow. I like sledding in the snow. But skiing, I don't know if I could be that good at. So,
yeah. Well, we're not... I know, but big shock. We're not adding any precipitation. That's kind of what that basically shows there in the extended forecast. So looking at beyond normal. And again, I have this kind of playing out here. So I'm going to stop it to make sure that I have that we can kind of control on which frame we're looking at here. Looking into the rest of this week, while we're mild, we don't have anything that's excessive. And looking in next week, at kind of the extreme weather there, I don't have a whole lot of spots to go with that as well. So while we're above normal, if we're talking about truly extreme heat, that would be record setting or major impacts, going to go on the much, much wider scale here. And you can see there's very few spots that have that. So yes, we are above normal, above our 30-year average, because that's what normal is. It's a 30-year average temperature, but we're not extreme in that regard.
And I think that's good to showcase both of those graphics, because one of those graphics showcases above average conditions. This one more on the extreme side. So extreme being even higher than those above average conditions, unfortunately remaining below that. But that's when it comes to warm temperatures. Of course, now you're showing those above average wind gusts, or above normal, should I say.
Yeah, and so, obviously you expect some of the higher elevations there, but we have some of these systems kicking through that could have some very significant wind. Now, I'll be perfectly honest. We are still learning, what extreme on this, how that plays out. But the takeaway should be, there's certainly going to be some very windy conditions back out on the plains, which are traditionally windy. And then through the next, few days here. But you notice we don't really get into one of those patterns where we really have that here in this part of the country. So keep that in mind, but not a lot of folks probably watching us back there in Billings, Montana, or Wyoming, I'd say.
Well, I do want to note that you were mentioning the college football forecast at the 5 o'clock hour. Heading into Friday, it is going to be gusty. I was looking at some of the forecasts that the National Weather Service was having, and they were talking about gusts up to 30 miles an hour Friday night. Now, I was never a kicker, but I would hate to kick a field goal in those conditions. Speaking of a local event, way long ago here in Mississippi was the Egg Bowl down when it was in Jackson, and they called it like the hand of God.
Way long ago? I think it was only a couple of weeks ago, but yeah.
Okay, don't talk about that one. No, but the game where the wind gust basically took the football and pushed it away from the field goal and then ended up not being good. That's the type of strength with those winds that we're talking about, and this is going to be for the Alabama Crimson Tide heading over there towards Norman, Oklahoma to take on the Oklahoma Sooners. That kickoff Friday at 7 o'clock, and take a look at those wind gusts. And these are sustained winds. So we're talking about sustained winds 20 to 25 miles an hour, gust 30 plus. And that's just going to be on the post front, what we're seeing in the area. Luckily, dry conditions will continue, and temperatures pretty consistent right around the upper 40s all game long. So at least we're keeping it dry. But I know that if you're trying to throw or kick or do anything on the football field, it's just not going to be a good environment for it. So who's the better running back? That's really the golden question as we get into this matchup. But excited to see what happens. Oklahoma, of course, winning against Alabama earlier on this year, and that was at Alabama, at Bryant-Denny. So now they're heading over to Norman. So the Crimson Tide definitely have an uphill battle, but they'll be giving those handoffs quite a bit to their run game. And I think that's the only way that that a team can pull out a win in these conditions.
Absolutely. I think we'll see. This is the only one that matters. Talk about the only game that anyone actually cares about here for a second.
Oh, the Ole Miss one?
Yeah.
Oh, well, hang on. That's a bowl game I was working on for January 2nd.
Oh, no. I pulled in the wrong one. I just looked at the ones that were dated today's date.
Well, let me tell you, the Mississippi State taking on Wake Forest, that is going to be on January 2nd. So we will have that forecast. But again, our model data only goes so far, and we don't want to tell you something that we don't believe will happen. So, of course, we'll get that data for you as we head into the next few weeks. But again, we do have a matchup happening this weekend on top of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and that is the Ole Miss Rebels, the biggest matchup in Mississippi football history. Of course, the first playoff matchup here in Mississippi, and that is as the Rebels take on the Tulane Green Wave. I do want to note, second matchup this year, Ole Miss taking on Tulane. First matchup, I believe, went 42-10 in favor of the Rebels, and ticket prices then were only about $50. If you look at ticket prices now, it might be a little bit steeper because it is the playoff. So if you're looking out there to head out and cheer on the Rebels, it's going to be a superb forecast. Not going to be overly breezy, but those gusts, 5-10 miles an hour, going to complement those warmer temperatures well, with 61 degrees first play, 58 by halftime, and 50 towards that final snap. Abundant sunshine all day long, and those breezes complement with those warmer temperatures. That is a perfect forecast in the Grove for tailgating, and then at the game there in the Vaught. Should be a great matchup, but Ole Miss, if history repeats itself, is going to be in good shape, and they hope to take home not only the first playoff matchup here in Mississippi, but the first playoff win here in playoff history here in the Magnolia State. So, Matt, it's going to be a fun one this weekend. Excited to see what happens. I'm hoping that, history repeats itself because, I am a Bulldog. My wife, she's a Rebel. So, of course, we root for all Mississippi schools whenever it comes to events like this. So, yes, this weekend I will be an honorary Rebel to, of course, support her, but of course, support Mississippi. This is huge for the state.
So you've decided to declare as a traitor to all Mississippi State fans.
Okay, I saw
don't
this.
have a dog in this fight or a Rebel, but I just don't want to stir the pot for a second.
Okay, so I've talked to a few Mississippi State fans as well, and some of my other Mississippi State fans are going to be like, I'm going to get text here in a second. But heading into this, a lot of Mississippi State fans are actually rooting for Ole Miss just because, this is great for Mississippi athletics, just the grand scheme of things in the state. And so you're getting that respect a little bit higher, and you're also upping the potential for recruits. So I'm really hoping that this translates well to the Magnolia State in general and, translates well to Mississippi State too, because Mississippi State then wanting to take over the Rebels position on the top of the state, and then we'll be able to up our recruiting as well. So I'm hopeful that this translates to everything.
The state, yes. Do I think it's good for the region? Yes. Do I think it's good for Mississippi State? No. No, there are only so many recruits to go around. There's only so many people that you'll convince to come to the Magnolia State or stay in the Magnolia State. It's terrible for recruiting from Mississippi State.
But let me tell you this. So, underdog mentality.
There are like 7,000 teams in the SEC, right?
But the underdog mentality, if you're wanting to take down the top team, think of Auburn and Alabama. Folks head to Auburn because some of them just want to beat Alabama. Why can't that be the same case here? So I think that there's a way that both sides benefit. It's a symbiotic relationship. And then we're able to both have a great football team. We take over the playoffs. Both teams make it next year. And bada bing, bada boom. Watch out, Magnolia State. We are taking over college football playoff.
Just say it. You want Mrs. Maynard to be happy.
Of course. Happy wife, happy life.
That's the real reason. Of course. Gabe will be back, hopefully with both happy wife, happy life, happy forecast coming up at 10 p.m. here from the Room Weather Center with the very latest on, in particular, some of those rain chances we have a little later on this week and just how deep that cold drop gets as we get closer to the Christmas holiday. Appreciate you, Gabe. Just needling you a little bit. And appreciate everyone. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Southern Miss, or in my case, Kansas, in my wife's case, Texas Tech fans.
Hey, Texas Tech now, give them some respect.
I mean, best team that money can buy, right?
Exactly.
Nobody spent more money than Texas Tech did this year, as long as you don't count, coaching fired coaches. And there's a few folks out there that maybe spent some more money if you add that in. Anyway, less sports, more everything else coming up tonight at 10 here from the Room Weather Center. We'll see you then.
Some people judge a book by its cover, and if you're not what people are looking for, you're kind of like a reject.
School, it feels like everyone's staring at me, and I'm just kind of not really a person.
It just feels hard today. Nobody was listening to me.
Try to understand me more, and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find ways to support your kids at soundedouttogether.org.